Hello and namaste to all of you. This is Jayvin Shalu Singh from Department of Physiotherapy and Diagnosis from Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. So today I will be discussing with you all about the detection, diagnostic evaluation and detection of proteinuria. So first of all, the test that is done for urinalysis of proteinuria can be microscopic urinalysis. So when proteinuria is found on a dipstick urinalysis, the urinary sediment, it should be examined microscopically, and the findings of microscopic examination is associated with the disorders. And now dysmorphic erythrocytes are a result of cell insult secondary to osmotic shift and in menephron indicating glomerular disease, and gross hematuria will cause proteinuria on dipstick urinalysis, but microscopic hematuria will not. So the various interpretations on finding of microscopic examination of urine can be, first of all, you can find fatty cast, free fat or oval fat bodies which show nephrotic range proteinuria of more than 30.5 grams per 24 hours. Secondly, you can find leukocytes and leukocyte casts with bacteria, which show urinary tract infection. Nextly, you can find leukocytes and leukocyte casts without bacteria, which show renal interstitial disease. Next, you can find normal shaped erythrocytes, which are suggestive of lower urinary tract lesions. Nextly, you can find dysmorphic erythrocytes, which are suggestive of upper urinary tract lesions. Thirdly, you can find erythrocyte casts, which are indicative of glomerular diseases. You can also find granular or cellular casts, indicative of advanced chronic renal disease. You can also find eosinophiluria, which are suggestive of drug-induced acute interstitial nephritis. You can also find hyaline cast, which indicates no renal disease present with dehydration and with diuretic therapy. So findings are suggestive of infection on microscopic urinalysis. They mandate antibiotic treatment and then repeat dipstick testing. Nephrology consultation may be warranted if a sediment finding indicate underlying renal disease. So after your microscopic urinalysis, there is a transient proteinuria. So if the results of microscopic urinalysis are inconclusive and the dipstick urinalysis shows trace to 2 plus protein, the dipstick test should be repeated on a morning specimen of at least twice during the next month. And when proteinuria, that is 3 plus or 4 plus, is found on a dipstick urinalysis, workup should proceed to a quantitative evaluation of specimen, and a subsequent dipstick test results in negative and the patient has transient proteinuria. So this condition is associated with increased morbidity and mortality, and specific follow-up is not indicated. So after transient proteinuria, there can be persistent proteinuria. So what is persistent proteinuria? So when a diagnosis of persistent proteinuria is established, a detailed history and physical examination should be performed, and specifically looking for systemic diseases with renal involvement, and a medication history is particularly important, and a 24-hour urine protein measurement of urinary protein or creatinine ratio on a random urine specimen should be obtained. So an adult with proteinuria of more than 2 grams per 24 hour, that is from moderate to heavy, requires aggressive workup. And if creatinine clearance is normal, and if patient has a clear diagnosis such as diabetes or uncomposed compensated congestive heart failure, The underlying medical condition can be treated with close follow of proteinuria and renal function, that is your creatinine clearance. And a patient with moderate to heavy proteinuria and a decreased creatinine clearance or an unclear cause should have further testing performance in consultation with a nephrologist. And uh, serum albumin, and lipid levels are and in albumin level decrease and cholesterol level increase are seen in case of nephrotic syndrome. If we look up for serum electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, chlorides, bicarbonate, calcium, and phosphate, so it provides screening examination for any abnormalities following renal diseases. Serum and urine protein electrophoresis results are abnormal in multiple myeloma. Serum urates, in addition to stones, elevated urate can cause tubulointerstitial disease. Renal ultrasonography provides evidence for structural renal diseases, and chest radiograph can provide evidence of systemic diseases such as sarcoidosis. Now, what is nephrotic syndrome? Basically, nephrotic syndrome and proteinuria. In nephrotic range, they localize a pathophysiological process on glomerulus, and the diagnostic criteria for nephrotic syndrome includes heavy nephrotic range proteinuria, hypoalbuminemia, edema, hyperlipidemia, and lipiduria. And the disease process can be primary or secondary glomerulonephropathy, and common secondary cause are diabetic nephropathy, amyloidosis, and systemic lupus erythematosus. And orthostatic proteinuria is in persons younger than 30 years who excrete less than 2 grams of protein per day and who have normal creatinine clearance. They should be tested for orthostatic or postural proteinuria. And this benign condition occurs in about 3 to 5 percent of adolescents and young adults, and it is characterized by increased protein excretion in the upright position, but normal protein excretion when patient is supine. So to diagnose orthostatic proteinuria, split urine specimens are obtained for comparison. So the first morning void is discarded and a 16-hour daytime specimen is obtained with patients performing normal activities and finishing the collection by voiding just before bedtime. So an 8-hour overnight specimen is then collected. Now the daytime specimen typically has an increased concentration of protein, with the nighttime specimen having a normal concentration. So patients with tuberoglomerular disease have reduced protein excretion in supine position, but it will not return to normal, that is less than 15 mg per 8 hours, as it will with orthostatic proteinuria. So orthostatic proteinuria is a benign condition associated with normal renal function after a long as 20 to 50 years of follow-up, and annual blood pressure measurement and urinalysis are recommended for these patients. So lastly, there is isolated proteinuria. So a proteinuric patient with a normal renal function and no evidence of systemic protein diseases that might cause renal malfunction and normal urinary sediment and normal blood pressure, it's considered to have isolated proteinuria, and protein excretion is usually less than 2 grams per day, and these patients have a 20% risk of renal insufficiency and after 10 years and should be observed with blood pressure measurement, urinalysis, and creatinine clearance every 6 months. So isolated proteinuria with urinary protein excretion of more than 2 grams per day is rare and usually signifies glomerular diseases. And these patients need further testing and nephrology consultation should be considered. So the clinical significance of proteinuria varies widely, and a systemic approach to patient with this finding This finding will allow the clinician to efficiently distinguish between benign and pathological causes, becoming familiar with the diagnostic evaluation, including the increasingly valuable urinary protein or creatinine ratio, will assist the physician in making an accuracy and timely diagnosis. For patients with whom the cause of proteinuria remains unclear after a diagnostic evaluation should be referred to a nephrologist, and in addition, patients with more than 2 grams of protein in a 24-hour urine specimen likely have a glomerular malfunction and should have a nephrology consultation. So, this was all about your detection and quantification of proteinuria. So, if you have any doubts regarding proteinuria, you can consult me. And until then, take care and goodbye.